friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. Thank you so much for joining me. In this tutorial, we are going to make this adorable toddler beanie. Now it will fit ages 1 to 4. If you want to make different sizes and in this same particular beanie, you can go to my tutorial that I just posted recently, and it is on how many rows do I need for each size of beanie, and you can then adjust the row counts to make this beanie in whatever size you like. So please make sure you look for that tutorial as well. But for this one, we are going to make a toddler size beanie. I'm using Loops and Threads Flecks yarn, and I will place in the description box below the name of all 3 of these yarn colors that I'm using and the yarn particulars that you will want to be aware of. All right, so please always look in the description box below. But for now, we are going to grab our machines and get our yarn, and we are going to get started. Before we do so, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And come on over and join my Facebook group. I'd also love to have you as a part of our neighborhood over there. So once you have your supplies and once you've done all those little things, let's get started. Okay friends, are you ready to begin? For this toddler beanie, I'm choosing to use my 40 needle SENTRO. You can go ahead and use your 46 needle ADDI or your 48 needle SENTRO if that's what you have. If you're using the 48 needle SENTRO for a toddler beanie, you're going to want to use a little bit tighter tension to make it a little bit snugger. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring our last white and our first black needle in line with the yarn guide. I have no idea what these numbers are in here. I want the white one to be last and the black one to be first. So I take a permanent marker and I mark that divider between the two, so I always see when the end of my row is coming around. All right, friends, I just put a video on my channel showing you how many rows you need for every size beanie, whether it's a bonfire beanie or a beanie with a rolled up brim. I give you row counts for all the sizes, and I use my 46 needle machine for all of those beanies. But I do explain to you that at the end of the video which machines you can use for which size beanies, so please be sure and watch that. But I can use this one for my infant, baby, and toddler beanies, and I'm choosing to do that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take our working yarn. We're going to do the drawstring cast on by going in front of that first black, behind the next one, in front, and behind, all the way around. Now take note that when you are doing your cast on like this, you want it to be loose. Because this yarn, any yarn on your cast on row, needs to be loose, because then when you're doing your next row, this yarn will easily slip down over down the needle and over those pink teeth without any struggle. If you do it too tight, it has a hard time pulling down over those 2 pink needles because there's no weight of a project yet to pull it down. So that's why you want to do your cast on row fairly loose. I'm just weaving back and forth until I get to that last white one, and it should be behind that last white one. You're going to pop this into your yarn feeder. Now, if you're watching my tutorials regularly, you know that I hold my yarn at the base of these 2 fingers if I want a looser tension, okay? I rarely use these tensioners that are on the machine, but for this particular project, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use it. I'm going to pop it into my middle tensioner, but I'm also going to hold it there so I can feel for knots or tight tension coming out of the ball, etc. Okay, so then I like to have that control as well, but because I'm doing both, I'm considering that a medium tension, which is what we want for this flex yarn. Then I'm going to set my counter to 0, and I'll explain to you why. We're going to go slowly for this first round so that those loops have a chance to go down over those pink teeth. As they come around here, right here, they slide off that needle and down onto the pink teeth. And you want medium tension on this particular yarn because, friends, although it works so well in our machine, it does split if you don't use tighter tension. You can see it gets a little bit loose there. If your tension is too loose, then as the needles, I'm going to just show you here. I don't know if this one will split, but as the needle goes down, picking up this with it, if this is too loose, then that nook of the needle goes right in between those fibers and splits your stitch. Watch what I do when I put a little tension on it. If I pull it a little tighter, then it gets right under, it lines it up right underneath that needle, and it helps to prevent the split stitches. And so once you get 1 or 2 rows done, you can increase your speed and find the speed and the tension that your yarn and your machine like together. For me, it's a medium tension, and it's a, you know, actually once you get quite a bit of rows done, you can really clip along good with this yarn because our machines love this yarn. Our Sentros and our ADDIs love this yarn. So I don't suspect you're gonna have any problems with it. But still, whenever you find that right tension and that right speed, which is, for me, gonna be this, I'm going to maintain that speed and that tension the entire way through. If I start loosening my tension and I start slowing my speed or speeding it up and then going back and forth with either one of those, then my rows look funny when I take it off the machine. Then my tension issues are not going to be consistent. Like they're gonna be bad. If you speed up and you slow down, you speed up and you slow down, once your project comes off your machine, then you see lines across your work. That's what those lines that you see are. They're because you're not keeping a consistent tension. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this consistent speed and the consistent tension, and I'm gonna go for 45 rows. All right, so you keep going, and I will see you when you get 45 rows completed. This is 42, 43, and I love this counter, friends. I will have the counter. I will have different things linked in the description box below my video, so please always look there. And this is 45. I'll watch for that black divider to come around, and I'll stop it in front of my yarn feeder, just like that. Okay, so always check underneath the description box, underneath this video in the description box for different links and different suggestions. I also always write a little note to you, so please check that out. I'm going to cut my yarn, take that tail, pop it between my last white and my first black. Then we're going to take our soft rainbow color. Oh, I love this yarn so much. And we are going to, this is called Deco Rose, soft rainbow into the yarn feeder, into that second tensioner, just like what we did with our Deco Rose, but we're going to do a jogless join. So we're going to bring that around to the other side of our white needle. Now we have 2 strands underneath. We're going to knit 4 needles, holding both of these tails, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you do 5, that's fine too. Taking your yarn tail end for your working yarn, you're going to then take your finger, pop those down, those loops down underneath those dividers to help it. You're going to take both ends and you're going to snug them up by pulling them away from each other. What that does is makes nice tension here. Otherwise, when you take your project off your machine, you're going to have looser tension here than what you have the rest of the project. And we want to make that look nice. I'm just going to cut these off so they're even. We are going to fix our jogless join once we do 3 rows of this one. You can fix your joins on the machine or you can fix them off. You can check out my video tutorial on how to do a jogless join. And then I show you in that one how to do it off the machine. But there are 2 ways to do it. So I am going to tighten this with you after we do 3 rows of the white. But this is the inside of our beanie. Now we're working on the outside and we want to do a fake brim. So we are going to do 12 rows of this white. So, but after 3 rows, I'm going to stop and show you how to tie your join. So that's 1, that's 2, and 1 more is 3. Pull it out of my ball. I could feel it getting tight. That's why it's important to hold it. So I'm going to bring that black needle in line with my divider. I've done 3 rows. My counter says 48. Now we're going to take these 2, okay? It works best to do this when you've done 3 to 5 rows. It's easier to get at it and it makes a nicer join when you snug it up. We're going to take these 2 and we're going to pull them gently away from each other. And as we do so, we will feel it slip into place and we will hear it slip into place. So I'm going to just do that now. Just like that. I gave them a little tug. They fell into place. And what that does is when we're knitting in the circular, whenever we come around, we're going up a row. Then you come around again, and it goes up a row. We're taking that color change that we did, and instead of having the pink and the white look like they're jogged and not in line, we're moving them into line like this when we pull these away from each other. And you'll see that when we get it off the machine. Now you can take this one. You're going to tie your first knot. Don't tie this one too tight. Just bring it close to the fabric. If you tie it, if you pull on this really tight, you're gonna tighten your join there a little bit too much, and it's gonna look funny on the other side. You can tighten this second one really well. Then you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna snip that off. So we've done 3 rows of this white. We want 12 in total, so we're going to go for 9 more rows, and that will take us to row 57 on our counter. So we're doing 12 rows of this color. I'll see you when I get to row 57. Having completed my 12 rows, and this will look like a fake brim, but we're going to embellish in a bit, but we're going to cut that yarn tail off. We're going to pop it in between the last white and the first black. Then we're going to grab our Deco Rose again. We're going to pop that into the center. We want to do another jogless join, so we're going to pop that underneath. And make sure that you take this piece here and you really pull it down, because it's got to get into that little nook of that of the guide here, and sometimes it just wants to sit above it, and then you'll not, then it won't guide it underneath that needle, and you'll have missed stitches. Okay, so we're going to do our jogless join. We're going to pop that underneath that white needle. We're going to knit 4 needles. I need to put some tension on this. 2, 3, and 4. You're going to help that down underneath your dividers. You're going to take your yarn tails and you're going to pull them away from each other. Pop that back into my tensioner. We're going to knit 5 rows of this color. So this is 1, row 58, row 59, row 60, '61, and 1 more row, 62. Watching for that black divider to come around, we're going to stop it in front of our yarn guide. Finishing our 5 rows and our counter just finishing up row 62, we are going to cut that pink yarn, take it out of our yarn guide. We're going to pop it in between the last white and the first black, just like that. And I tied my jogless join. I forgot to do it after row 3 with you, and then I did it and thought it was taping, and it wasn't. So I'll show you on the next round. So again, I tied off that one, and we're going to then take our third color, which is, I believe, called Granite Pink, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pop that into the center. We're going to bring it around to the other side of our white needle. I will do this jogless join with you, all right? And we're going to knit 4 needles, 4 starting with this black one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to help that down underneath all the dividers. We're going to take our yarn ends from our working yarn, pull them away from each other, snug up the tension there. We are going to knit 5 rows of this pink granite color. That's 1. Loosen it if it's tight coming out of your ball, which of course you can feel because you're holding it in your hand. And 2. I'm going to do all 5 rows before we tie our join. 3. And 4. And 1 more. We're going to do 5. Now you're going to watch for that black divider to come around. Stop it in front of your yarn feeder. You've just finished row 67 of your beanie. We're going to cut off that pink granite, pop it into the center between the last white and the first black. Never need to do it that long. Actually, we're going to just take this out just so we can fix our jogless join. We're going to take those 2 from the row before, the color change before. Again, we're going to pull them away from each other, and you can feel it fall into place. You can even hear it. I love doing it. It's so fun. Tie, and then tie this one tighter, cut it off. Now we can take that yarn tail and put that back into the center between the last white, the first black, and we're going to grab our soft rainbow color again, which is our white. We're going to pop that in, bring it around the other side of your white needle. You're going to knit 4 needles. You're going to help that over the dividers. Take your yarn tail ends from that color, pull pull them away from each other to snug up your tension. Pop that back into the second tensioner of your machine. We're going to knit 5 rows of this white, and then we will tie off together, and then I will give you further instructions to the end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 more, 5. Watching for that black divider to come around, I'm going to pop it in front of my yarn guide, just like that. You can cut this yarn tail off, but don't put it in the center yet. You're going to take your 2 yarn tails here, and we're going to fix our jogless join. Cut that off. We can take that tail, pop it between the last white and the first black. Now I want you to do another color change with the pink. Do 5 rows, then tie off your jogless join. Then you're going to change again. You're going to pop your pink granite, which is that green one, into there. You're going to do a jogless join. You're going to tighten your tension. You're going to knit 5 rows. So again, you're going to now do the pink for 5 rows, then the green for 5 rows, then come back and meet with me and we will finish off. We have just completed our 5 rows of pink and 5 rows of green, which I asked you to do. We are now on row 82, finished row 82. I'm going to tie off my join. And we're going to cut this off. We want our beanie to be a total of 90 rows. Now this is already touching the table, and if I keep going, it's going to start bunching up, and I don't want to drop a loop off of there. So even though I'm on my last color, I'm going to still roll this up so that I do not lose a stitch off these teeth, and also it helps to keep my tension tight, okay? So now that we fixed our join, we're going to cut off that green. We're going to pop it into the center. We're going to take our next color, which is the soft rainbow. We're going to add that in, do our jogless join, knit 4 needles, fix our tension, drop that in there, and now we want to have a total of 90 rows on this particular beanie. So if we do 5, then that will only take us to 87 rows. So we want to, in this particular section, add another 3 rows, making it 8 rows in total, and that will take us to 90 rows. I'm going to stop after this next row and fix my join. It doesn't have to be in front of the guide. You can fix it while it's over here, anywhere in here. But I'll just stop it here. I will fix this join. Then I know it's not forgotten. It's done. I'm going to finish knitting my 7 rows of this soft rainbow white color. Clamping this down. And I'll see you when I have row 90 completed. Watching for that black divider. There we go. We have our 90th row completed. Now what I want you to do is to take a yarn tail that wraps around your barrel twice. So the length of that, and if you've done this many times, then you don't have to measure it, you just know. We're gonna take our needle, we're gonna put that yarn tail onto our needle, and we're gonna do the drawstring cast off. Now you wanna make sure that this yarn tail is between the last white and the first black, because we still have to finish knitting these 2. Then, once it goes past and this first needle drops down, that loop is ready to take off. So you can take your needle and you can pick up your loop, pull it through. Rotate your handle, have a few more of these drop down. Once they drop down, you can pick them up. You can pick up a few at a time before you pull through once you get some slack in here. And I will show you that. We're going to pick up that one. You're going to rotate your handle, drop down a few more. Get under those, oops, see what I just did? Okay, good, because now I'm going to teach you how to fix that. My next thing was to tell you not to pull up. But you know, one thing about these Sentros versus our ADDI machines is that these little teeth are a lot tinier, and so they can fall off really quite easily. So I have two that are going off there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stitch markers and I am going to make sure this one doesn't fall off. I'm going to reach down into there and I'm going to pick up that loop, the closest loop that I can see that hasn't dropped, okay? I'm going to go down to that one there. We will fix this once it's off the machine, and I'll do that with you in case this happens to you. Okay, I don't want to edit it out and then miss a teaching moment. So I'm going to pick up that loop that I can find there, put my thumb over this one so I don't drop it. Then I'm going to pick up my needle and I'm going to continue on my way around. You know, part of the reason why that happened is because I stayed sitting. I always stand up to do this. So I'm not sure why I chose to do it differently this time, but however, I did, and that caused us to have a few mistakes here. But hey, we are going to fix them. I'm going to continue on my merry way around my machine here, picking up every stitch just like this. Now I'm further into it than I was in that last clip, but this is what I've done all the way around. We're just going to pick up every stitch as it comes loose, but we're going to make sure that we're being very, very careful as we do so. We're getting to the end. Here's my last one that I'm going to take off. We've got it removed from our machine. Now we're going to fix our mistakes. All right, friends, you're going to see how easy this is to fix. That's why I didn't panic. No need to panic. So we're going to take that first stitch marker. Okay, there's the loop that I caught. I'm going to remove that stitch marker. I'm going to pop my needle into that stitch. This is the right side of the material facing, and you're going to want to make sure that's the case to fix it this way. Otherwise, it's a different way to fix it. Okay, now that my hook is in that loop, I'm going to find that first bar that's right above it. That's this one. I'm going to take that bar. I'm going to pull it through that loop that's on my hook. Then I'm going to go up to the next one. Make sure you don't get it mixed up with the drawstring one there. Fold it up. Take the next one, put it on your hook, pop it through that loop. Just like that. Then you can take that top one and do the same. From there, you're going to take your crochet or your stitch marker, you're going to pop it back in that top loop. And when we go around to close our beanie, we're going to pick it up. You're going to go to this next stitch marker and you're going to do the same thing. If I was to take this out and I lost it and I dropped it, I'm going, oh no, what happened? Where's the loop? Pull it back until you get the first loop that you can see. Go into that loop. Then you're going to go up to that next bar, pull it through, and follow that all the way up. 1, 2, and 3. Pop a stitch marker in that loop. We will catch it when we are closing our beanie. So then you can take these out to the side, just like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to unroll this beautiful beanie. It's so precious, so cute. Let's take care of this top end first before we stretch it out. Okay, we're going to then tuck in our yarn tails and everything that we have. We're going to pull this through. As you do so, you're going to smooth out the top. Give that a little closure, and you see how those two stitch markers are holding that top loop. If this is really long, just cut it off. You don't need it that long. Make it easier for yourself. Then what we're going to do, friends, is we're going to go up to the top of this beanie and we're going to go underneath that first row of stitches. When we get to that first stitch marker, we're going to pick it up and we're going to pick up that loop. See how easy that is? Once you pick it up, you can go ahead and remove your stitch marker. There's no need to stress about stuff like this. Then you're going to go around, pick up the rest. You're going to go under that next loop. It's on your stitch marker. Now we have it secured. We don't have to worry about it. We can take that off. And pull. And we're going to go around and we're going to reinforce this around the top edge. And pull. And you see how it's closed. I'm going to just go a little bit further. I like to go around one whole circle. Pull it through. Then what you're going to do is you're just going to grab one little strand or two. You're going to tie it off in one knot. Take that thumbnail of yours and pull that knot down. Then you're going to put your hand into this beanie. We haven't stretched it out yet. Generally, before we do anything, we stretch out our beanie, but we're going to take care of this first. We're going to pop this into the center, grabbing it with our hand so that we don't snag the inside of our work, and we're going to pinch the top and bring that through. Now we have it completely in half. Pull that needle through, give it a yank, and it pulls that knot to the inside. Clean up our little workstation here. We're going to then close up the other side. We're going to stretch out our beanie after. It's such a small little piece, it's not hard. We're going to roll that up just so that we have a nice flat closure. Okay, smooth it out. Make sure you do that all the way around. If you see that little piece sticking up, push it in, smooth it out. You'll get a way nicer top. Just like that. I'm going to cut both of these a little bit shorter. Now we're going to reinforce the top of this side as we did the other side. Making sure that you have that tail out. You're going to get it out of the way. You're going to go around this first row of stitches. All the way around. We like to give this extra reinforcement when we're dealing with children. I do it for the adult beanies too, if I'm being honest. And here we go. But I see that some do miss this step, and I think it's very important. So friends, don't miss this step. You want to reinforce this top. And a little tiny bit more to make it all the way around. There we go. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take this one from the inside and you're going to pull that inside layer right up to the top of this outside layer here. This will be the inside, but you're going to pull the inside part right up close. Then you're going to take these two tails and you're going to tie a firm knot. That's one. Don't pull it so tight that you snap it, because that's sad when that happens. And I do 3. I pop these back on my needle. I'm going to take my bigger metal needle. They have loops in them. They're called metal wool needles. I'll link them in the description box below. They are my favorite needles. I love these. And we're going to go in between our layers. Just in between one of those stitches. Center of a stitch and then in between the 2 layers. Pull it out. Pull up. Cut it off. Hide your end. Now we're going to give this a good stretch. Widthwise and lengthwise. Let's turn it the other way. Let's give it a stretch. Widthwise and lengthwise. Oh, this is so pretty. Just like that. Let's see if we can find our little jogless joins, you guys. I can feel it. The knot is right there. Like there's a tiny little knot. That's where our joins are. Look how straight across those are. It is absolutely perfect. Oh, cute little toddler beanie. It's so adorable. Okay, friends, so next we're going to make these beautiful little pom-poms that we're going to attach to the fake brim here that we have. We're going to take our smallest CLOVER pom-pom maker that has a 35 on the bottom. I will link these in the description box below. I have a set of 4 of these, plus I also have the jumbo one. I love my CLOVER pom-pom makers. I do have a video teaching you how to make a pom-pom on one of these, but because this video is already, like it's not that long, I'm gonna do it with you on this one. We're gonna take our yarn, we're going to wrap it around. Well, first of all, see, I got ahead of myself. We're going to open one side. Line it up just like that. We're going to take our yarn and we're going to hold it on the edge and we're going to wrap around that half circle. You can let this go. You're going to cut it off to trim it anyways. And you're going to just wrap until you see that concave piece here is almost filled. You can see it from this angle. We don't want a really thick pom-pom, so we're just gonna, just like that. You could slow this video down by hitting the top right corner of your screen with your mouse or with your finger if you're using a touch pad, and you'll see a gear come up, and then you can slow it down and you can count how many rounds I'm doing if that helps you. And then we're going to wrap the second side. And I do have a video on how to make a pom-pom using the CLOVER pom-pom maker. Please refer to that too if you need this any slower. And we're going to close that. I'm going to cut off this tail. Then I'm going to cut off another piece of yarn, about that length, a foot maybe. Taking our pom-pom here, we're going to go up the side. There's a little groove there. Put your needle in, your scissor in there, and cut. Just like that. Continue around, cutting the other side. Then what I do is I take my yarn tail that I cut off, put it in half. You have one loop on one side. You're going to pop that over, bring it down to the other side, and you've got your loop here. You've got your tail here. Take those two tails, pop them through that loop. And then when you do so, you're going to just pull tight and pull and give it a good snug tie. Then what you're going to do, or tightness, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take these apart and you're going to one direction, one in the other direction, bring them around, and you're going to tie a firm knot. 1 and 2. Once that is done, open your sides, take your piece apart, put it back together for the next one. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just give it a good shake, and you're going to trim it up so it's nice and even. You might have wrapped one side a little bit more than the other, so trimming to make it even will help. You don't need much on these little guys. They're so precious. Just to get those little stragglers off. Do it over your garbage. Not like what I'm doing. I'm just taking one for the team. We'll clean it up later. I think that's good. Friends, you're going to make 5 of them. I did 3 pink and 3 green. You're going to then find where your jogless join was again. Make sure that's in the back of your beanie. If you can't see it, can't feel it, there's mine. I can hardly tell. If you can't tell, then it doesn't matter what part of the beanie you use. Have your nicest part at the front. Then we're going to take our little pom-poms. Take the one that you have 3 colors in, okay? This is my pink one. I have 3 colors because I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to just eyeball it. Here's my white section. I'm just going to go right in between one of those stitches, pull it through, take this other one. Then I'm going to go up. Here's one bar here from the next stitch, and here's the other. I'm going to take 2 bars in between, and I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to come out the other end, and I'm going to tie a firm knot. I'm going to do 3 actually. Then we're going to take those yarn tails, pop them in between the 2 layers, cut it off. There we go. So we have the middle one on. Now we're going to just take the next color, which is green. We're going to pop it right beside. So you can just lay it beside, and then you can kind of see what row that's going to go into. And I'm going to pop that one down. Take this next one. Leave 2 strands in between. 1, 2. Go into that same row. Pull that through. Tie off. 1 and 2 and 3. Hide my ends, and we're going to continue on. There we go. Gonna take the next green one and I'm gonna pop it right there. Okay, then you're gonna take your pink ones and you're gonna put them like that. Of course, friends, as you're adding them on, you are going into the same row. I should have mentioned that earlier. So if I move this over, I can see here's the row that I'm in. I just got to follow it over so that it's in the middle, so that you keep them in the middle and they're centered. You don't want one down here and one up there. Unless you want to stagger them, you just be you. You do what you think looks great. But I'm trying to go into the same number down here and follow the same patterning so that I can get them straight. And we're going to tie off. I'll hide my ends. I'll put my last one on and I'll meet you right back. And there you go. Isn't that beautiful? Now their head circumference isn't going to stretch this too much when they put it on, but when it does, you will see that you see the little white in between, and it's beautiful. Okay, so it looks nice even if it's stretched, and which it will be a little bit. And you can see on the inside there, I gotta hide that knot a little bit better. I can take my crochet hook, get underneath that little stitch if you have one of those, hide your little knot a little bit better so our little kiddos don't feel it. Oh, however, this yarn is so soft that even if the knot stayed there, they're not gonna feel it. And there you go. Now we're gonna add our larger pom-pom, and for that I will show you what Clover pom-pom maker I'm going to use. All right, so for the pom-pom, I used this Clover maker, and it has the number 65 on the back. It's the third from the smallest to the largest, second largest in my set of 4 that I have. And I held a double strand, one of the pink and one of the white, and wrapped it around and made my pom-pom the same way we made it on the small one. And I am going to now take 2 of those strands, and then I trimmed it up pretty tight so it's a little bit smaller. And I'm going to go in through the center with the one set of, this is the thing with these metal wool needles, they do have that loop at the back, which I absolutely love because they are easy to thread. But if you have slippery yarn at all, if you don't have a really long piece on there, it could slip off. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to push that down, then I'm going to grab that. There we go. You just have to be a little more careful. And then I'm going to put this other one on. We're not going to go down through the same center, of course, or there's nothing in between to tie the 2 together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go off to the side a little bit here and down into the inside of my beanie, pulling that through. We're going to take these strands and we're going to tie them really tight. 1, 2, and 3. Then you can take those strands, pop them back onto your needle and hide them between the 2 layers. There's one. And there is the second. Cut those off. Here's a lawnmower outside again. This time it's my neighbor. Earlier you heard my husband, now you're hearing my neighbor. They're working hard on their yards while I sit down here and craft. Seems fair. There we go. We have our beautiful, beautiful toddler beanie. How precious is that? Okay, friends, there it is. Isn't it so pretty? You know what? These colors are so gorgeous, but I want to make mention of the pink granite in particular. That is the one that looks probably a little gray to you in the picture here, but it's like a mid-tone green, and it is so beautiful. You're gonna love it. So please go to your nearest store where you can get this yarn or order it online, and check out these colorways for yourself. But also this Loops and Threads Flecks yarn comes in other colors as well. So I would love to see the combinations that you make. Be sure and show me in my Facebook group. If you're not a part of that, the link will be in the description box below this video, and I'd love for you to come over and join my neighborhood there. If you're posting in other groups, please also add the link when you post. That will help others find my channel as well, and that's just one little way that you can help support me, and I would appreciate that so very, very much. So thanks again for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I cannot wait to see the beanies that you make. Take care, friends. Have a blessed day.